Noth Glibber, hi friends, Darth Momo here, and today we are going to talk about or I should say in this video, we're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1? I don't know if we should call it a Season 1, I don't know if it's getting a Season 2, I don't think it should. So, what do I say about Boba Fett? I definitely think it's a lesser show compared to, especially because at this point we just had Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 as far as the live action content went. And I would definitely say in the face of those, it was the lesser of the three. I think a lot of that was to do with execution though. I was not necessarily expecting a, just shoot 'em up series with Boba Fett. I think in a sense that's kind of boring. If we had one straight episode that was a shoot 'em up, well, that could be kind of interesting. I would say that's more or less what his appearance in The Mandalorian was, and I very much enjoyed that. But I don't think you can write a whole show based off of just Boba Fett running around and shooting a bunch of people. I had no issue with the direction they desire to take the character, more or less in the execution. I think they could have shown a better transition from him to becoming the new Boba Fett. I think that there was some potential. I watched Star Wars Explained to kind of reference his videos, and he did a lot of breakdown videos of each episode and some deeper themes that you could dig out of there. And for the first four episodes, I was on board with the show. I didn't think it was being executed the best it could be, but I loved a lot of the deeper symbolism, the ideas of his father died in a desert after being a bounty hunter. And what did he have to live for it? And here Boba almost died in the desert after being a bounty hunter. And I love that being kind of a, what do you want to call that? Like a climax for him deciding he needs to change his ways. And I like a lot of reasoning he gives in that fourth episode with Fennec Shand on why he's ready to give up bounty hunting and look to do something else. I do think they softened the character a lot. I think a better way to take the character would have been, kind of like a Grief Karga in Season 3, to briefly allude to that. Like, he's changed, right? He's not some hardened bounty hunter in it for the money. Now he's got a code. He's got a moral mission, but he could still hold his own. He could still go around and be the good cop if he needs to, when he needs to. And I think it kind of lacked on that. I think that there was some slower pacing, some kind of drawn-out sequences that could have been tightened. I think out of those first four episodes, the second was definitely the standout. I do like what they did with the Tusken Raiders, although I do think kind of an afterthought of that is we do have to be careful, like as cool as it is to kind of humanize this culture and dig deeper into their lore, we also got to remember that these guys they're savages, right? I mean, we see them try to kill Luke, basically, I don't know, for sport, like they're primitives, they're just trying to kill him for whatever reason. They did kidnap Shmi in Attack of the Clones, or before the events of Attack of the Clones. They have events too in Rebels where Ezra just shows up on Tatooine looking for Obi-Wan, and they basically more or less just try to kill him. So I think we got to be careful with that. We don't want to overdo it. Like, yeah, you know what? These guys are a culture, and they have their own culture, and it is kind of interesting. But don't forget the fact they're bad guys. They're savages at times too, right? They did kill Shmi. They did try to kill Luke. They did try to kill Ezra. So, I think the problem with this show is The Mandalorian Season 2.5. I don't think this show was great, but I understood what it was trying to say, and I think it could have been okay, and I was on board for those first four episodes. And then we were bringing in The Mandalorian, which I kind of expected. And I was cool for that, as much as I didn't want it to be his show, I was down to bring him in and have him be part of Boba's show, serve Boba's show the way Boba served his show. And he kind of just overtook it. Like, at first I'm sitting there like, all right, this is dope, Mando's back, he's got a cool intro scene, and then he's walking through the hallway, and I'm thinking, all right, this is where he collides with Boba Fett, and no, he finds his covert, and we serve Din Djarin's character arc in the show called The Book of Boba Fett. And I sat there looking at my watch the entire time. I'm like, all right, we got 30 minutes left. We got 20 minutes left. When's Boba popping up? And at the very last scene, when Fennec Shand popped up, I'm like, are you kidding me? Did we really just do that? In a 7-episode show, we devoted a whole episode to another character, and we didn't even show the main character once. Okay, I could have let that slide a little bit. I mean, Bad Batch did do something similar, but Bad Batch at least had 16 episodes to play, and the one episode they weren't part of, it was set up for the second part of that 2-part story that they were going to feature in, and they had still at least had one scene in it. And no, they just basically did an episode of Mandalorian Season 3. And then they carried that on again in Part 6. It had a little bit more Boba. He at least appeared, but he didn't speak. And I would say only half of that episode, at best, probably more or less about a third of that episode, actually served Boba's narrative. And what did I expect that to lead to? Exactly what happened. A rushed finale. They had so much to try and tie up, and it felt rushed. The finale felt very rushed, very ham-handed, and the problem with that, too, is they tried to quickly wrap everything up to the point where they don't really have much to explore in a Season 2. They can't do a Season 2 because they wrapped everything up in Season 1, but it wasn't satisfying because they devoted 2 of the 7 episodes to The Mandalorian, and now, Boba's show just basically got jacked. And it sucks because those 2 Mandalorian episodes would have been really good episodes if that was how Season 3 opened. But it wasn't. And because of that, I have to say they're bad episodes. You can't have an episode all about The Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett show and call it a good episode. That's not how that works. Take The Mandalorian aside and let's say it was a really good episode about Ahsoka. Ahsoka belongs in there even less. So would we call that good episodes if it was about something that had even less to do with the show? No. So we can't excuse it just because it was Din Djarin and it's the Mandoverse. And I think because of that, Book of Boba Fett really falls flat. I know for a lot of other people it fell flat for a lot of different reasons. For me, I think I still would have been on board if it had just devoted the show to Boba Fett. And if it had just focused a little bit better on the execution of the first 4 episodes, I think we could have had a really strong character study about Boba Fett and what it means to be a bounty hunter, the effects of that, and where that takes him afterwards, and his kind of mission to do right by the Bounty Hunter Guild by trying to be a crime lord that isn't, a straight up dirtbag, isn't a crime lord. So I don't know. I mean, there were some standouts, right? Like Temuera Morrison, I think he still does a good job about Boba Fett. It was enjoyable to watch the Mandalorian stuff, but it didn't belong. And I think even more, the Mandalorian stuff just ruins the whole point of Season 2. So now it's like, that's even more baggage for Boba Fett's show, is that Boba Fett's show has episodes about the Mandalorian that ruins the point of Season 2. Like, it's just really, we went through all that in Season 2, and now, nope, they're back together in a spin-off show. I can't forgive that. And it sucks because there was so much deeper meaning to the Boba Fett storyline that I thought was really interesting. And I think because of that, I'm going to have to give Boba Fett a 6 out of 10. It sucks because I did like where they were taking it, but I'm sorry. That's what I got to do with Boba. I'm sorry. Personally, I hope this show doesn't get a second season. I don't know what they would explore. And I think they should just learn from their mistakes, try not to do that again, and leave it at that. So that's my thoughts on Boba Fett. Tune in. The next one we're going to talk about is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and my thoughts on that. And I've got a lot to say about that one. So thank you guys for participating. May the Force be with you. Darth Momo, out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them in the light.